Hello and welcome to another my NTND marriage video. I want to ask you a question. Are you friends with your partner, husband, wife? My husband and I are good friends, good mates, good companions. Right from the very beginning, we were able to be ourselves around each other. We could just sort of say, what's this lump on my back? Do I have an ingrown hair? Just random, regular conversational things that we could just chat about easily without sort of judgment or worry about who we were. We were both grounded, down to earth, and we could be ourselves around each other. We didn't particularly talk about deep and meaningful things. There was not a lot of conversation about thoughts and feelings and where we saw ourselves in 10 years, likes and dislikes in the bedroom, things like that. There are things about him that we still haven't really talked about. I sort of liken it to, he doesn't really let me in to his inner sanctum. So we'll be talking to the counsellor and he'll start to talk to her about something. And I'll be like, wow, this is the first time I'm hearing about this in the 24 years we've been together. For example, he was bullied quite heavily at school due to his race. And when he talked to me about it, he downplayed it. He just sort of mentioned a few incidents and didn't really sort of delve into it deeply or anything like this. I had known that it affected him because of how he is, his personality, but I hadn't known the severity until he talked to the counsellor about it. So we don't have really deep and meaningful, nitty-gritty kind of conversations, and yet we still can talk about just about anything. I mean, I could bring them up. It's not that it would be a taboo subject that he doesn't want to hear. It's just that I suppose they just don't come up. We stick to the sort of basics in being in a relationship, if that makes any sense. I suppose I'd liken it to, we have good mate conversations as opposed to lover conversations. That's probably a good way to sum it up. We do things like, we like to go out for brunch or lunch and have a cuppa during the day. We have those kind of friend outings. We'll go for walks together, take the dog, walk around the local parks, find other local walkways and walk those tracks together. Sometimes we'll get into a bit of a disagreement while we're walking. We don't have a lot of arguments or disagreements about what movie to watch. It's usually his turn, my turn, his turn, my turn type of thing. Although I don't mind the type of movies that he's into, so I'm pretty easygoing. And we'll watch them together, eating popcorn, having a cuppa, and every now and then I might pause the video because I need to say something about the movie or ask a question or something like this. And it's kind of funny because whenever I pause a movie, he'll groan and be like, and he'll just talk through the movie as opposed to pausing it. And so I'll pause the movie, so I don't miss what's being said. And so now when he starts talking and he pauses the movie because he realizes I don't want to miss what's being said, I'll jokingly groan as well. I'll be like, oh, like this, and we have a good old laugh about it. So we've gotten used to the fact that I guess that's how I watch movies. Like it might be something really basic, like pause the movie to say, where have I seen that actor before? Or what happened there? I don't understand what's going on. So it'll just be general questions like that. But you don't want the movie to play while you're doing that, or else you'll miss what's being said. So yeah, we have a good old laugh about our movie pausing now, which I can understand from his perspective. He just wants to get in the zone and not pause. But yeah, we just laugh about that. It's pretty kind of funny. We have bubble baths together, probably about once a month. we'll have a nice hot soak in the tub together. I'll put some nice bubble lotion in and have the bubbles up to so high, and we'll just get in and relax. Usually we'll have a glass of wine and we'll just sit in there for, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, however long it takes, and wash ourselves and just chat in general. Just about, life, work, family, how everybody's going, a possible holiday that's coming up, just general chit chat. Again, like our walks, we have had moments where we've been in the bath and something has been said that has triggered either one of us, and we'll be a little bit sort of huffy, which makes for an interesting bath time. But mostly we just get along and we're fine. There's no sort of arguments or anything. It's just general chit chat. And we have had moments where we've both fallen asleep, which is pretty nice, I think. We enjoy cooking together and trying new recipes. One thing I like about him is that he's open to all different kinds of cuisines. And I can't imagine being in a marriage where I had to eat bland food because that's all my partner liked. That would just be cringe. I really like all different kinds of foods. I like to be creative. I like to try a French recipe one day and a Mexican recipe another and a Greek recipe another day. I like to just play around with food and really get creative with all of the different types of things that can be done with food. And he's the same. He enjoys that. We have started cooking together a little bit. That's a definite recent thing. It used to be before, the two of us in the kitchen, whoa, nightmare central. He was often critiquey, he'd be snappy and not really yelling, but, just, it's hard to explain. Raised voices, I guess. And it wasn't fun because he'd be, snapping at you while you're cooking. What are you putting that there for? Blah, 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 blah. And you'll be like, out, I'll do this alone, thank you. So we've gotten better at that now. We've started to cook together and do it sort of peacefully and friendly. And it's been really good because we get to sort of share our knowledge with each other and come up with creative and wonderful recipes together. And we do like eating together, as I've mentioned before. A lot of what we do is based around food because everybody eats. So we'll often have an antipasto platter together with some wine, and we'll sit by a fire and chill and eat. Or we'll watch a movie together while having our little nibbles and wine. Or sometimes we'll sit outside in the garden and having our antipasto that way. And so that's something that we like to do together. And again, just general chit chat about life in general. But it's nice to sort of have that camaraderie and to have that someone, to sit with and chat and enjoy, just life in general together. Surprisingly, we barely argue. And by argue, I mean like screaming matches. I'm sure there's a phrase there, something like hoe down or something. Anyway, we don't have a lot of that. We'll have disagreements, and usually it'll be like him raising his voice and being snappy and me saying, hey, no, stop. And then him usually being in that mood and being, I'm not going to stop, I'm aggro, I'm going for it. So we have those kinds of things, but it's rare for us to actually full on argue. That is where you've got one person going, rah, 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 and the other one, rah, rah, rah. We don't have that often. In fact, one of the first times we had a scream down yelling match was maybe about a year ago. My sister had come to visit and he started yelling at me in front of her, and I just arced up. I was kind of watching it unfold like an out-of-body experience. I was watching it and just thinking, who am I? What's going on here? This is very unlike me and unlike us to have this kind of real screaming, yelling match. And we argued for a good 20 minutes. Neither of us wanted to back down and admit that that we were wrong. We were so just steadfast in our belief that the other person has wronged us. And yeah, that was funny. There's my poor sister watching this unfold. And I think maybe if she hadn't have been there, I might not have arced up. I'm not really sure what triggered my response. But it's very rare for us to argue like that. Generally, we just have disagreements, or he's yelling and I'm trying to calm him down, or I'm calmly waiting for him to finish, or I'm walking away and going, talk to the hand. I have always been playful. Right from the very beginning, I was playful. It has kind of died down a little, but it's not something that I've fully let go of. I've never just kind of not been able to be playful. And in the beginning, he didn't like my playfulness. It's too spontaneous. So for example, one of the first kind of playful things I did with him was I decided that we were going to have a wrestle. And I just kind of rugby tackled him in the middle and flung him onto the bed and started doing the whole pin you down, 1, 2, 3, you're out, you know. And he's like, what the, get off me, what is this shit? And I'm going, we're wrestling. And he goes, what, why, get off me, don't. He was aggro. And I was like, oh, okay, that wasn't the response I was expecting. I was thinking he would think it was fun, but no such luck. Another time he was washing his car and it was like 50 degrees, you know, gets hot in Australia. And we were washing it together. And of course I decide that I'll have a little bit of fun, you know, flick some bubbles and some water at him and things like this. And of course that's against his routine. He's got a very specific way he washes his car. And I've come in with these little, you know, interjections. Here's some water. And he starts yelling because that's bothering him. And I was like, oh, well, that didn't work. And because he was cross and moody, I was just kind of like, yeah, you can wash the car by yourself. See you later, you know. So to start with, my playfulness really bothered him. He found it confronting. However, nowadays, I think he's really embracing the playfulness. I think he's starting to just appreciate it. So now we'll do goofy things like, if he's doing the dishes and he's got a pair of daggy shorts on, I'll go up and I'll be sort of like, ooh, ooh, I'm going to pull your pants down, you can't stop me, your hands are full, you know, and he'll just laugh and we'll kid around like that. Or he might change a light bulb and I'll put a hand up on his bum cheek and be like, don't worry babe, I've got you, you're safe. You know, just playful things like that, these goofy little sort of playful gestures and things that we do. And he's starting to do them back, which shows to me that the playfulness is rubbing off on him. And I like to do a lot of jokes and, you know, I suppose dad jokes, but still I like to just kind of joke around, goof around and just insert some laughter into our lives. Because Aspies can be quite serious, and seriousness all of the time is a little bit unfun. So yeah, just every now and then I'll just be goofy and silly and just, you know, crack a random joke, and he'll laugh now and say that I'm really funny and that he likes that about me and things like this. And every now and then he'll say something hilarious and we'll be all floored because we didn't expect it. So we do have that kind of playful side of us, which I think is, well, it just makes the relationship better. You know, like tickle fights. Tickle fights are fun. He didn't used to do any of that before I came along. And we'll sort of, like, the kids and I will be like, let's all sneak up on Dad and get him. And then we'll all pile on and have a big old tickle fight. So we do kind of goofy, fun things like that. Yeah, that's fun. He will come up and instigate hugs and kisses. More so now than the early days. In the early days it was, I mean, he'd hug me if I hugged him back, but it was not so much him doing the instigating. Whereas now, because we've spoken, a fair bit about all manner of different stuff, he does retain bits and pieces, and so he'll come up now and again and be like, oh, give her a hug. And he is really cuddly. He's wonderful to hug. He gives the loveliest hugs. And we'll just stand there for a few seconds and it's really nice. My stepmom passed away and she'd been sick for a while, so we knew that the passing away was coming. And when she did pass away, I got that phone call. I had gone up to him and he was in the middle of washing. And I'd said to him, she's passed away now, she's gone. And he stopped what he was doing and turned to me and hugged me and just stood there for a while, just holding me like that. And that was really special. That was really nice. It was really warm. It was comforting. In the early days, he might not have done something like that. I don't think that he knew to do things like that. And I had heard somewhere, I don't know where, that it's not that they're incapable of things, it's that they don't know what to do. So the first time they see somebody crying, they'll be like, whoa, somebody's crying, I don't know how to interact with that. And then when you teach them, somebody's crying, give them a hug, they'll remember that. And that's how I find that he's gotten over the years. He's more warm now because he's learned that that's, I suppose, what's expected. But it's nice that he'll hug me. It's nice receiving hugs from him. And so outside of his and my friendship, I like his family. They're really friendly people. They're really nice people. They're down to earth the way that he is as well. I've enjoyed getting to know them as people, and I'm really thankful that I have such good in-laws and that we get along. And I've also been introduced to his culture. When I first met him, we were one of the first multicultural couples in our community. And at the start, people would point at us, stare at us, have whispers about us, this multicultural couple walking along or being in a restaurant or things like that. And what that says is that I embraced him and saw past his race. His race was irrelevant to me. I didn't sort of judge him on that or boo hiss him for being a different race. I didn't care. And so that was one thing I think that he really appreciated. And he introduced me to Yum Cha. Before I met him, I'd never even heard of Yum Cha, or at least I think I heard it on an ad or something, and I still didn't know what it was. And now I'm fully immersed in Yum Cha culture and eat my chili and use my chopsticks and all of that kind of fun stuff. And I love that I've learned all these different Asian cuisines and can cook Asian food really well and just get to learn about a different culture. I love that. I love that that's my life now. That just, makes me smile. And sure, there's been moments where we've hated each other. We've had moments where we've both been walking around the house, avoiding each other, not talking, sulking, being angry. Obviously, there's been moments like that. But I guess it's like that old saying about how we didn't fall out of love with each other at the same time. Usually when one of us is hating the other is not in that mood at the same time. There's been a few moments where we've had sort of hatred for each other at the same time. And they're the times, I suppose, when we have split up or we've been really not getting along and things like that. But for the most part, we're good friends And I feel blessed to have that, because there are couples out there who don't even have that. I mean, you hear about all the time people divorcing due to irreconcilable differences. And to me that suggests that they just don't like each other and they don't get along. Or they haven't been trying to meet each other's needs and learn about each other and grow and adapt. Whatever it is that makes a marriage work. We're lucky that we have that friendship. And I think it's important. I think it's what keeps the relationship going. And so I turn it over to you. Leave a comment below. Do you have a friendship with your Aspie partner? Is that something that is going on for you in your relationship? Are you blessed and lucky to be getting along, even if you're not necessarily, say, connecting on a deeper level? If you have that friendship, I think it's a really good basis for having a successful relationship and having a peaceful and enjoyable life. There's something about going along in life with somebody who is a good companion, who is a good mate. It would be awful, I think, if you were married and you didn't like each other, whereas we like each other, even though we've had all these fights and faults and foibles and all of the different things that have come up for us. At the end of the day, we do like each other and we have a good friendship. Comment below, let me know how it travels in your world, and as always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video. I really do appreciate it.